Somewhere in your genome, there is a piece of an empire that no longer exists. Not a metaphor, a real, measurable fragment of DNA, inherited from a soldier, a slave, a merchant, or a queen who lived under a flag that hasn't flown in over 1,000 years. Geneticists have known this for years. Most people never hear about it. Tonight, we open the archive. Empires fall, borders erase, flags come down and languages fade. But the people don't disappear. They scatter, they intermarry. They survive in the blood of nations that came after. When Rome collapsed, its legions didn't vanish into myth. Their descendants are alive today in Italy, Spain, Britain, North Africa, carrying fragments of an empire that hasn't existed for over 1,500 years. Ancient DNA studies on Roman-era burial sites near the city itself revealed something startling. By the height of the empire, the population of Rome had genetically shifted to reflect migration from across the Mediterranean and the Near East. A direct biological record of conquest, trade, and forced relocation. Then, after the empire's fall, that same genetic signature shifted again, diluted by the arrival of Germanic and steppe populations. Rome's DNA is a layered manuscript, rewritten each time history turned a page. But Rome isn't even the most dramatic case. What happened after the Mongols swept across Asia changed the genetic makeup of an entire continent. And one man's bloodline may be carried by tens of millions of people alive right now. A landmark genetic study identified a Y chromosome lineage carried by roughly 8% of men across a swath of Central Asia, statistically consistent with descent from a single 13th century patriline, coinciding with the era and territory of the Mongol Empire's founder. Historians and geneticists remain cautious about claiming a direct identity match. But the pattern is one of the clearest genetic fingerprints an empire has ever left behind. Conquest, dynastic power, and reproduction on an imperial scale, written permanently into a population's chromosomes. Centuries later, the Ottoman Empire stitched together Anatolia, the Balkans, North Africa, and the Levant under a single administration for over 600 years. Genetic studies of modern Turkish populations reveal a mosaic. Central Asian ancestry layered over a much older Anatolian genetic base, with additional contributions from the Balkans and the Caucasus. It's not a single bloodline. It's a genetic record of an empire that ruled through absorption rather than replacement. So why don't more people know this? Partly because population genetics is technical, published in journals most people never read. But partly because these findings complicate a story many nations prefer simpler. The myth of a single, unbroken bloodline stretching back to a golden age. The truth is messier and more interesting. Every empire that ever claimed purity was, genetically, already a mixture by the time it reached its peak. Consider what this means practically. A woman testing her DNA in modern-day Uzbekistan might carry markers tracing to Mongol-era conquest. A man in southern Spain might carry a signature linking back to Roman legionaries stationed there 2,000 years ago, alongside later Visigothic and North African ancestry. These aren't exceptions. This is simply what survival looks like, encoded at a molecular level across every population on Earth. Empire after empire follows the same arc: rise, conquest, mixture, collapse, and dispersal. Egypt's pharaonic population absorbed Nubian, Levantine, and later Greek and Roman ancestry. The Persian Empire's reach from the Balkans to the Indus left genetic traces still detectable in populations from Iran to Central Asia. No empire in recorded history has ever remained genetically static. The archive of DNA is, in effect, the only historical record that can't be rewritten by whoever wins the war. Few empires lasted as long as Egypt's, nearly 3,000 years under the pharaohs. Genetic studies of mummified remains show a population shaped gradually by contact with Nubia to the south and the Levant to the north, with a stronger sub-Saharan African genetic contribution appearing more clearly in later periods and in modern Egyptian populations than in the sampled Pharaonic era mummies studied so far. It's a reminder that a single ancient sample can't speak for an entire dynasty. Genetics from one tomb is a single page torn from a very long book. The Persian Empire once stretched from the Balkans to the edge of India, the largest empire the ancient world had seen. Modern genetic studies across Iran and Central Asia reveal deep, ancient continuity in the region, layered with waves of contact from the Greek, Arab, and later Turkic and Mongol incursions. Every invasion that followed didn't erase what came before. It simply added another layer to a genetic record already thousands of years deep. Not every empire spread its DNA through land conquest. Colonial-era European empires moved populations across oceans, forced, indentured, and voluntary migration reshaping the Americas, the Caribbean, and parts of Africa within a few centuries. Modern genetic studies of populations in Latin America and the Caribbean consistently show a three-way admixture: indigenous American, West and Central African, and European ancestry, in proportions that shift dramatically from region to region. This is one of the fastest and most dramatic genetic reshufflings in recorded history, most of it happening in under 300 years. In East Asia, the story looks different again. As Chinese dynasties expanded southward over 2,000 years, genetic studies show a gradual assimilation of southern populations into what we now broadly call Han Chinese ancestry, not through a single conquest, but through centuries of migration, intermarriage, and cultural absorption. Today's genetic map of China reflects that slow northern to southern gradient more than any single dynastic bloodline. Notice the pattern yet? Every empire we've covered, Rome, the Mongols, the Ottomans, Egypt, Persia, the colonial powers, the Chinese dynasties, tells the same underlying story in different costumes. Power moves people, people mix, and mixture never fully undoes itself. If you've ever taken a consumer DNA test and seen an unexpected region show up, a percentage from somewhere you never expected, this is why. You're not seeing an error. You're seeing the residue of an empire's collapse, a trade route, a forced migration, or a conquest that happened long before any living person could remember it. The past didn't disappear when the empire fell. It just stopped wearing a uniform. Every empire believes it will last forever. None of them do. But something does survive. Quietly, invisibly, passed down without ceremony or record, in the DNA of ordinary people who never asked to carry an empire's memory. Somewhere in your own genetic code, there may be a fragment of a story no history book ever told you. If you want to know which fallen empire might be hiding in your own bloodline, that's exactly what we dig into next, right here on Imperial Archives. Subscribe, and let's open the next archive together.